Please welcome Arka Bhattacharya and Logan Ryan.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for being here, whether in person with us in Seattle or from wherever you are on the live stream. Listing on Amazon can be challenging, which we were sorry to hear one seller sum up like this.
I've had such a difficult time listing on Amazon that I feel flatlined. Excuse my apprehension, but you must win me back over.
Amazon holds a high bar on detail page quality and completeness, but we know that meeting that bar, or sometimes even understanding exactly what that bar is, isn't always easy. My name's Logan.
And I'm Arko.
And we're both product managers working on the Selling Partner listing experience. It's our goal to make creating listings on Amazon as easy as possible while maintaining the world-class shopping experience expected by customers. Today, we're going to show you a little bit of how we've been doing that. We'll cover recent updates and feature launches, where to find them, and give you a sneak peek of what's still to come.
Thanks, Logan. So first off, I'd like to walk you through the agenda for this session. So as you can see on your screen, there are roughly 4 steps involved in creating a great listing on Amazon Seller Central. Firstly, you can just add an offer if your product already exists in Amazon's catalog. Or you can create a new listing, the first step of which is to first classify that product into the right product category. Then you move on to entering listing details. So these are all your required and optional attributes, your variations, and so on. And then finally, you resolve any pending errors and submit your listing. Now, frankly, we hope you never have to encounter that last step. Now, each of these steps have some unique challenges and some pain points. So we'll touch upon those in some detail. Then we'll talk about some of the recent improvements and exciting upcoming features that we have that will help address these pain points and hopefully make listing creation a delightful experience again for you. Just as a reminder, at the end of the session, we will host a live Q&A. So if you haven't already, please download the Accelerate app. You'll find instructions on the back of your badge. And once you've downloaded the app, you can submit questions or you can vote for questions that others have submitted. And to do that, you can use your in-app QR code scanner and scan this code on your screen over here. Once you scan that, you can select Q&A from the panel on the right-hand side. All right. So let's begin by talking about the simplest way to get started selling on Amazon, which is to add offers to an ASIN that already exists. Now, at Amazon, we strive to have Earth's biggest selection. We have a massive catalog with a lot of different products. But we don't always make it easy for you to find the right product. Sellers, you've told us about how our search results are not always very relevant. As you can see over here, this is what used to show up when I searched for a travel pillow. Clearly, some of those are not really travel pillows. I can see a luggage set in there. Also, it was really hard for you to narrow down your search results and find what you're looking for. You pretty much had to search for something and then endlessly scroll page after page until you found the right product. You could also only search in your primary store. Now, this was especially frustrating for sellers in other stores who want to sell products which are live in another store. They had to create the entire listing from scratch all over again, even though it already exists. And finally, you had to repeat this entire process for every single new offer that you want to add. Well, we've listened to you and we've simplified almost all those aspects. So firstly, we've massively upgraded our search. Our search results are now more relevant, at par with what customers would see on the Amazon shopping website. Not only that, we've added search filters. So now once you search, you can filter your search with the brand or the product category and find what you're looking for a lot faster. You can also now search across a secondary store. So for example, if you're a seller in, say, Saudi Arabia, and you want to list a product that's in the US store, you can search for it, and if you're qualified, you can add an offer to it. It doesn't even matter if the listing is not in your primary or preferred language. We will take care of automatically translating it for you. All you need to do is search and add your offer. And finally, but definitely not the least important, we made it easy for you to now add offers in bulk. So if you have a list of product IDs, say a list of UPCs or ISBNs or EANs or ASINs, you can now copy all of that and paste it into our search box, and we'll show you all the relevant searches in this multi-list view, allowing you to quickly cycle through and add all your offers at once. Now, we are very excited to see the impact of all these improvements. Our initial results show that we've cut down the time it takes for you to add an offer by 60%, giving you valuable time back to focus on other aspects of your business.
So those are some great ways to create your listings when your products already exist for sale on Amazon. But if they're net new to Amazon, of course, there's a few more steps. As many of you will know, the first step to actually doing that is selecting a product type. This is a really important decision, probably more so than it initially seems. Maybe you encountered this as well. There's a lot of downstream impact that stems from this initial decision, from what attributes are actually available to use on your listing, which of them are required versus optional, what values are available for any given attribute, and what other rules and restrictions might apply to the category. More importantly, this can't easily be changed later on, which many of you may have found when trying to change this later on. This is put in place to prevent things like ASIN hijacking and other abuses, but can make it really hard if it was just an accidental error. Perhaps most importantly, product types can also be automatically changed later on if the additional information that comes into the listing isn't consistent with what was selected. We hear feedback on this all the time because if something ends up in a different category, it can have different attributes, different requirements, which can result at minimum in additional work, or potentially even things like suppression if it's a key attribute that is not required but not present. That is all to say that getting this right from the beginning makes everything else a lot easier. But again, it's not always easy to do so. We have over 2,000 options for product type that you have to navigate through the tree that you might have seen to do so, whether you're using add products or downloading a product template. Ton of options. And you may have also noticed that the tree itself isn't using product type, it's our browse tree classification, of which there are over 19,000 browse nodes that you'd actually use to find the product type that actually then determines the listings that are going to be, or the attributes that will be available. The way around traversing this tree, the search function, also wasn't always the best. It worked best with prior knowledge of naming conventions and what you were actually searching for. So we're working on an updated experience to address all of these aspects. When using search or navigating the tree itself, we'll be showing you example products for each product type to help build confidence of what kinds of things belong in each category. We've seen lots of problems, for instance, on picking between things like shirts and tunics or other types of attire, right? There's tons of options that do have significantly different features and requirements that you'd want to be able to accurately describe, but that results in a lot of categories. It can also help build confidence, right, that something as simple as a whiteboard doesn't end up as a 2x4, right? Another thing that will help you build confidence in what actually belongs in a product type is that we'll start surfacing all of the browse nodes, or item type keywords, as they're called in the US marketplace, along with the product type, as opposed to just the one that you were searching for before. We're also updating the search functionality, which will return much more relevant results and can also now be used to search using the full item name or natural language. We're also adding a selection history feature, which will allow you to easily reference things that you've used before without having favorited it, which you might not have known that you needed to do ahead of time. Even better, we'll soon be able to do this for you. With title-based classification, we'll suggest appropriate product types for your listing. If there are multiple options that are close matches, we'll surface those for your review and confirmation. Using this feature will minimize that chance for reclassification and all of the associated problems that can happen, as mentioned before. But you're still in control. We'll suggest things that we think are right, but if you know that your listing actually belongs in a different category, you're always free to change it. It's still your listing, and we'll be able to use that review and rejection of something that we've suggested in later processing.
Thanks, Logan. It's great to hear that we're simplifying this aspect because choosing the right product category really determines what requirements you have to fill in, which moves us on to our next step, entering listing details. Now, this is arguably the most time-consuming and cumbersome part of creating a listing. But providing the right set of attributes or requirements is really critical for a great customer experience. Detail-rich listings help customers easily discover, evaluate, and purchase your products with confidence. But we know that our listing requirements aren't always the easiest to master. Sellers, you've told us about how our listing requirements can be a bit hard to understand, and you have to often resort to searching the internet or seller forums, or even asking your fellow seller friends to try and make sense of them. You've also told us about how requirements don't always make sense. So battery attributes for pet food or expiration date for a baseball bat. You've repeatedly highlighted examples where our requirements don't really apply to the products that you're trying to sell. You've also told us that there are often some critical drop-down values that are missing from our attributes. Well, we've heard you and made a lot of improvements across the board. So firstly, we've removed a ton of low-value attributes that generally don't apply. A great example of this is this year, we've removed battery attributes from over 100 food and beverage product categories and material compliance-related attributes from 150 apparel and shoes categories. Now, these changes themselves have resulted in a 20% reduction in the number of attributes that you have to fill in these categories. And we are not done yet. By the end of this year, we are on track to remove such irrelevant attributes from 1,000 more product categories. We haven't just removed attributes, we've also improved the existing attributes. We've improved the quality of the descriptions and the examples. We've added missing drop-down values. And more importantly, we've added more fine-grained and relevant product attributes so that customers actually find the information that they're looking for. A great example of this would be our size and fit attributes, which we recently launched for over 60 product categories based on industry best standards. Now, just a few months after launch, we've seen amazing impact. We've seen a 3.5% reduction in customer queries, and we've seen that we've been able to save sellers hundreds of thousands of dollars in customer refunds due to incorrect size or missing size or confusing size and fit details. Now, there are two things which enable us to do this: the power of technology and the power of your feedback. The latest advancements in large language models and over 300,000 feedback points that you sellers have given us about our attributes through our listing tools are helping us identify these defects and identify even more relevant attributes at a scale and speed that was not possible before.
But even when listing requirements are clear and straightforward, there are still a lot of them, which we realize and have gotten feedback on. On average, there are 50 required attributes for each product type, another 20 that we recommend, and 180 total. But completing these, at least the required, of course, and the recommended as well, is important, as Arka had said, for myriad things like discoverability, conversion, downstream defect reduction, and all the other things that we want. But we realize that this takes a lot of time to do. Moreover, we've heard from some of you that you actually hire external help to brush up key attributes such as title, bullet points, descriptions, the free text attributes. So you're actually bringing external parties on to help with this. And moreover, there are many of you that have also told us that you have much, if not all, of the data that we're asking for in some other format, whether that be your own website, an internal inventory file format, or in some other form. So we're excited to share that we've been investing in a lot of different technology in order to bridge this trade-off between effort and resulting quality. Like many of you, we've been excited by the recent innovations in large language models and generative AI, and are excited about its potential to deliver step function improvement in business process efficiency across many different domains and business functions. We believe that listings is one such function that is perfectly suited to this case. And as you may have heard on the main stage this morning, we've recently launched a feature which is powered by these large language models and generative AI. Generate listing content is currently available to all sellers in the US store. And with just a few words, but up to 100 in any format really that you want to provide, whether it's a title, a short description, keywords, or just stream of consciousness, right? We'll generate full-length title, bullet point, and description options for your review. You're free to regenerate these in their entirety or individual attributes as many times as you would like, and each subsequent regeneration will give you an option that is at least somewhat different than the prior one for you to review and decide what to do with. All of the generation history is available on the page for you to page through and choose which one that you like best, and you're free to edit these as much as you'd like. Again, It's still your listing, and we hope that these suggestions will help streamline that process. And indeed, some sellers are telling us that it is taking care of 70, 80, 90%, but it's still your listing. It will likely need at least some tweaks because AI isn't perfect, and we are continually working on getting that up to 90+%, but you're still in control, and it's still your listing. To that end, this is an early access release as the UI shows, and we're going to continue improving this. We'll continue iterating, collecting your feedback, and incorporating other inputs to help us achieve even higher quality and scope. But more on that in a second. Another feature that is already available for your use today is called Explore Brand Selection. So for those brand owners that I'd mentioned before that have your own sites and are enrolled in brand registry, you can use Explore Brand Selection to have your site synced with Amazon. Explore Brand Selection will fetch all of the product details, all of your listings on your own site, and bring them in as drafts in Seller Central for your review and confirmation. It will also continue to automatically monitor for any new listings that are created on your own site, so you don't need to repeat this process or go back and manually add things again. Your existing listings will benefit also. If you have a listing on your own site and it's also on Amazon already, but there's some details in the source site, in your own site, that aren't there, Explore Brand Selection will fetch those and also surface those for your review and confirmation. An additional benefit is that you get to see your entire brand catalog in one place. So for your branded items that you're not selling through your own account for whatever reason, but are also on Amazon, you'll be able to see those in one place and be able to make the decision if you want to add offers yourself or not. If this sounds interesting, as I mentioned, it's already available, and you can visit Seller Central/SelectionGap/enrollment, or just simply search for Explore Brand Selection in Seller Central, and it'll come up. I mentioned before that we're going to continue investing in generative AI in order to make listing as easy as possible. So I'm excited to give you a sneak peek of something that hasn't been discussed so far, but we're excited to roll out in the near future, and that is image-based listing. Images obviously have a high information density, and there's a lot of information that can be extracted from them. We're excited to enable you to do this, and using the recent innovations in computer vision and large language models, we'll be able to generate, again, those free text attributes that I'd mentioned before with higher quality and additional product facts. And this will also enable us to extend to other attributes as well. So those product facts that, if they're not in the text input, it would just be guessing otherwise. But with images and other input types, we'll soon be able to populate all of that with high accuracy still for your review, of course. In short, we're putting the adage to the test and are excited about the potential here to generate nearly complete listings from just a single input. Finally, similar to the brand website case, many sellers have told us that they have their own internal file formats, or perhaps they have an export from another site in any spreadsheet format. We want to help you upload these directly without needing to manually convert from one schema to another, and we'll indeed be doing that. Simply upload your file as is, and we'll handle all of the conversion and even optionally apply some of the AI technology that we had mentioned before to fill in the other attributes that weren't explicitly in the input. Again, it's our goal to help you list as quickly as possible using whatever data that you already have, and we'll take care of the work of inferring or looking up other information that can be accessed from wherever that is.
Thanks, Logan. Now, as part of entering listing details, another crucial aspect that you have to do while listing is to create the right variations. Now, why are variations important? Variations are important for a few reasons. Firstly, variations really help declutter the search experience for our customers by showing the entire variation family in a single search slot. So when you search, you don't see a lot of similar options with just, say, different sizes. Secondly, variations help customers discover all your options from a single detail page. And also, variations help you aggregate customer reviews across all your products so that customers have all the information they need in a single place. Now, with 70% of Amazon's listings having some sort of variation, clearly it's something that's very critical to get right. But our current variation experience doesn't make that easy for you. Firstly, it's really hard to add variations to existing listings. You have to create a SKU separately, and then go into Variations Wizard, download a spreadsheet, and then link them back together. You also can't add images to individual variation SKUs at the time of listing. So first, you need to create all your child SKUs, and then go to manage your inventory, and then go to each individual listing and add images. Also, we don't always have the most relevant ways of variating your products. A good example of this is if you're selling a mattress that has different options in, say, thickness and firmness, you don't really have those as options for variation themes today. So you have to choose something like a style or a pattern name. A pattern name of 10 inches doesn't really make sense for a customer. Well, we've made a lot of improvements in this area as well. So firstly, we've enabled the option for you to add a variation SKU directly from a single workflow on the one-by-one experience. Secondly, you can now add images for individual variant SKUs at the time of creating listings. So you no longer need to move to different workflows and complete what should be a pretty simple task. But we're even more excited with what is coming soon. With the new field of generative AI, we want to completely automate variation creation on your behalf. So instead of entering hundreds of rows of variation data, imagine if you could just start with a simple text prompt. I want to create variations of my running shoes in sizes 6 to 10 for men's in these 5 color options. And that's it. We'll be able to infer and create those variation options for you. And as Logan said, not just text. If you have a brand website or a spreadsheet with all your variation information already set up, or even images of all your different variants, you can give us what you have, and we'll do our best to create these variations completely on your behalf. And we'll also improve the themes with which you can variate products so that we remove irrelevant themes and add themes that really make sense for our customers. Now let's move on to the final step. This is when things don't quite go right during the listing process, and you're left with a bunch of errors that you have to fix. Sellers, we've heard from you time and again how frustrating it can be to fix some of these listing errors. You've told us that you don't often have visibility into some of these errors at the time of creating listings. So say you come in and you upload your spreadsheet, you only find out that something went wrong a lot later when your listing isn't live. Then you come back and download the processing report and have to do a lot of VLOOKUPs to figure out what went wrong. You've also told us how our error messages, they can be vague, and it's not clear as to what went wrong or why. And also, they don't always have very clear next steps on what you can do to actually fix them, or any sort of guidance. I think the seller quote over there sums it up pretty well. I've been back and forth with seller service, and nobody seems to understand what the issue even is. Certainly not something we want to hear. Well, we've also made a lot of improvements in this area. So what we've launched is real-time feedback on your listings at the time of creating that listing across all our tools. So now if you upload a spreadsheet, we can show you potential errors at the time of listing. So say you've missed out an entire column, or there are some missing required values or invalid values, or say you've uploaded the wrong template version or file type. We'll be able to flag these at the time of listing itself, so you can fix them immediately and get your listings on their way. We've also made a lot of improvements to our error messages. So we've taken the most frequent errors that you encounter, and we've improved their quality to make sure that they have a clear root cause, they have clear next steps on how to fix, and they're available in the language of your preference. We've also removed duplicative and unnecessary errors, and we've revamped our help content by adding more than 50 missing help pages this year, and a lot of interactive video content, which guides you on how to fix an error in context of when you actually encounter it. Now, we're already seeing great impact with the initiatives that we've launched this year. Our results show that we've been able to increase the number of errors that sellers can resolve within 7 days by 21%, which is very exciting for us as we move towards a future where hopefully we can eliminate this entire step for you.
So these are just a few of the ways that we've been improving the listing creation experience for you. But we're not done, and we're going to continue investing in simplifications and investing in the latest technology to provide you a better experience. And we want to continue to hear your voice in order to help make these decisions. The easiest way to leave feedback for us is on every Seller Central page, there's a feedback option at the bottom. We read all of these comments, so we're looking forward to hearing what you think about the new experiences and what else you'd like to see. Thank you very much for your time today.